when you have a clear idea of your income and you'll see exactly what's coming in and what's coming out. Once you have that information, you should also budget in an emergency fund. And this is a fund where ideally the objective is to calculate 3 months, 6 months, and even 12 months worth of your expenses. So in the beginning, you aim for 3 months. So if your monthly expenses, let's say for example, is £1,000 a month, you would ideally need to have £3,000 saved up to reach that first objective. And you would want to include a 15% buffer. And this is just for an emergency, right? You don't touch this money for any sort of daily expenses. You don't want to go in and use your emergency funds to pay for your groceries, to pay your electricity bill, to pay your rent. The emergency is your income stops for some reason.
That's fantastic. But what happens if you don't have any salary or you have very little income that you can actually just survive in day by day? Obviously, you can squeeze yourself to get few pounds in your pocket. The question is, that's worth it to do so much effort and all that? So one of the things I have found for people that actually suffer not to have any salaries or have any problems with it, with this idea of ideally to have some percentage being saved there, is to switch everything in percentage. If you switch everything in percentage, it's the same thing when you start trading with our funding accounts. So you just start working with very small amount. That you're going for very tiny you make $4, $5, but that is actually a good percentage made. So thinking in percentage, thinking in probabilities is what you need to actually to be aware of, that to make you to be profitable. Thinking in percentage, how much money you spend it is not the question, is how much percentage you spend from your income into your house, into your food, into your daily life, and make it everything percentage. And then you say, okay, then I got from £1,000, I only have £100 safe, which is nothing. We can go less than that. You say maybe actually go down to I can save £25, which is actually 2.5% of your income. So then if you convert it into 2.5%, it's a big difference compared with £25. We are traders. Traders don't think in money, thinking in percentages and probabilities. So start to work in your daily life in percentages and probabilities to have the right mindset to be a profitable trader.
One big massive difference between the financially educated and the non-financially educated. If you're financially educated, you tend to be wealthier. You don't tend to be poor, unless obviously it depends on your circumstances. But for example, for someone who's educated financially, they will have their expenses and their income. The difference between their income and expenses is massive. They have more money coming in than what they're spending, right? And so this gap is a big difference, because someone who isn't that financially educated, their expenses will be quite high compared to their income. And so this gap, it keeps people living a life which is very difficult financially, right? Because they just spending too much money. It could be because they're wasting money, or they're living in a home which they shouldn't really be living in that home. Maybe it's too big, maybe it's too lavish, maybe they're taking too many holidays. Whatever the reason is, you need to think about, as a trader, and even in general, anything that you do, you need to think about that gap, and you need to think of ways to narrow that gap. The way to do that is obviously to increase your income. And if there's no way that you can increase your income in your job that you're in, because there's some jobs where you just can't move forward, or you can't move forward fast enough. So you need to think about ways to increase your income. And that might be getting another job. That might be trying to set up a business. And obviously trading is one of those ways, but you can't just rely on, for example, your income and your trading. If you're trying to close that gap, you need to find other ways, because the what that's going to force you to do is going to try and force you to increase your income through your trading in order to lower that gap. And so what you should be doing is you need to get to the point where your income and your expenditure are around break even, but then just a little bit more where your income is just above your expenditure. That gap is going to give you a big relief. That's going to give you psychologically some space, and financially some room for you to focus on your trading with patience.